need before we even ask. So once again, we just thank you. Thank you that you're meeting every need of everyone here. Thank you for meeting the needs of us to have wisdom to help serve our citizens. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Box. Roll call. Councilman London is not going to be with us this evening. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Here.
Councilman Box?
Here.
Councilman Sims?
Here.
And myself here as well. At this time, I would look for a motion on the approval of the minutes from the October 18th meeting.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of the October 18th, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, no abstentions. All right. So before we move on to our next item of business, I want to qualify this. I will be asking for an approval of the current bills for payment. The amount of the bills this time around is $1,264,444.49. I just want to be a little proactive in getting that out there, that and if we need to call on one of our department heads or if they choose to say something about it, we can. But there was a fire truck that was sold to the Mississippi Fire Academy for about $850,000. One of the largest items on our bills for payment tonight would be about $712,000 for equipment finance to pay off the lease from the 206 ladder truck. Let's see here, and it was processed in our capital outlays. Another large ticket item was $137,000 that went to EEP as the down payment on a new truck. So when we're looking at those bills, they're much higher than they typically are. So I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. At this time, I would go ahead and ask for a motion for the approval of the bills.
I'll make a motion we approve to pay the bills in the amount of $1,264,444.49.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. All right. At this time, we would look for any professionals or consultants that would need to give us a report this evening. Any professionals or consultants? All right. Fair enough. Mayor, welcome back. You have the floor, sir.
I have no report. I know that surprised you all, but I have no report. I'll catch up with you on the 15th.
Fair enough. Thank you. So I'm glad you returned to us safely. That being said, at this time, we would look for any reports from any of our department heads. Hey, Chief. Yes, sir. Good evening.
I just want to report that we were chasing the other night has been apprehended.
Nice.
There are other charges that are associated with that subject on other subjects. So I just want everybody to know that he's captured. He's in custody.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Chief.
Any other department head reports this evening? All right. At this time, we're going to go ahead and roll into our council reports. I'm going to go ahead and yield my time to Donna Pike this evening.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
Good evening, Don.
I'm Donna Pike, and I'm a Republican, and I'm running for my reelection for the Jefferson County Board of Education. I have been there for 6 years. I drove a school bus here in Irondale for 26 years, and I've been on the city council for 4 years and accomplished a lot of things that I'm proud of. I'm a mover and a shaker, and I'm not scared to say it. I hope that you tuned in last time when Dr. Gonsolin was here, and he and I straightened out some misconceptions about our school system. We have districts this time, but that doesn't mean anything except where our names will appear on the ballot. We will still function as a 5-member board, and I must say, we do it very well. As I read some things here, I want to say that we have a first-class pre-K. We have the best pre-K in the United States. We have career-driven diplomas. college and career. We have one of the best career tech programs in the state of Alabama. We have safe and healthy schools. We've spent a lot of money on having HEPA filters in our filtration systems and cleaning. We are now looking at bus sanitizers, and I think that that's pretty close to coming to fruition. We have excellent teachers. We have dedicated teachers. We have teachers that go not the second mile, the 100th mile for our children, for your children. We are innovative as we know how to be, as we can think it, get it out there, and get it going. We have tutoring now after school. I think I mentioned this before. And our buses take them home, so there's no stress for the parents or the child. The child can do what we want them to do, and that is concentrate on tutoring. So I don't have a lot of doom and gloom. I have great, innovative things, ideas, things that we are doing that it would take me a long time to tell you about. So I just wanted to tell you that Jefferson County is progressing. Do we have wonderful test scores? No. Does the whole United States have wonderful test scores? No. So it's not that we're not working on it, that we are not taking our children and giving them the support and the teaching and the attention that they deserve and that they need. So I just want to ask for your vote next Tuesday, Donna Pike for District Number 3. I will be on your ballot on the Republican ticket. I just want to say that we just work so well together as a board, and I would love to be able to continue that journey of great and wonderful things happening. We have a wonderful superintendent. We have wonderful deputy superintendents, area directors that are educated and they know what they're doing, and we can't go anywhere but up. We're going up. We're going up, and our graduation rate is very high, and we're very proud of that. There are so many things we're very proud of, and you can take a look at Shades Valley and McAdory. We have automotive. We have partnered with Mercedes. So just know that we're rolling. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Sims?
Thank you everyone for coming. And I'm going to let Janice Smith speak.
Good evening. I'm Janice Smith. I'm a volunteer and a campaign committee member for the campaign for Stephanie Floyd for District 3, Jefferson County. So I didn't even think, I'm not a politician, so I had no idea what I would be here with the other candidate. But I just wanted to represent Ms. Floyd tonight and say that she believes every student counts. So does every teacher. Every school counts. Because strong schools build strong communities. And District 3 is District 3 strong. That is what that is her motto. So I'm asking you to vote for Stephanie Floyd on November the 8th. She's worked very, very hard during this campaign. And I'm speaking from the heart. I've been knowing Stephanie over 10 years. She's a woman of integrity. She's a Christian woman. She's a woman that loves her family. She's a woman that loves the children. Stephanie has worked very hard during this campaign. She would be new to this position, but she's impressed so many people with her ideas and with the goals and the things that she has planned for District 3. She's endorsed by former Senator Doug Jones. She's endorsed by Judge U.W. Clemens. She's endorsed by Justice Ralph Cook. She's endorsed by Judge Houston Brown. She's endorsed by the former Governor Don Siegelman. She's endorsed by Representative Rolanda Hollis. She's endorsed by Dr. Martha Booyer. She's endorsed by Dr. Jennifer L. Grant. She's endorsed by Chris Christie. She's endorsed by Richard Mark. She's endorsed by Rain Rogers. She's endorsed by Josh Coleman. She's endorsed by Bobby Joe Wilson. She's endorsed by the Jefferson County Progressive Democratic Council. She's endorsed by the Birmingham Association of Realtors. She's also endorsed by the Communication Workers of American Local Union 3902. She's also endorsed by the National Association of Letter Carriers, Branch 536. She's also endorsed by the plumbers, the steam fitters, and HVAC technicians of the UA Union Local 91 and the Ironworkers Local Union 92. So to get all those endorsements, she's worked very hard meeting with these people, going out into the communities endlessly. I can't even keep up with all the days and the meetings that she's gone out meeting with these people, talking about what she wants to do for District 3. So I just want to say that she's a leader. She's a finance major. She's a realtor. She's an entrepreneur. She's a mother. 4 of her children have come through District 3, and they're very successful. So she knows how to maneuver through the system. So I'm just very strongly supporting her. And I wanted just to stand before you tonight. I don't do this often to talk about political stuff, but I just wanted you to know what a great person I think she is. I think she would do a great job. And she has all kinds of plans. I don't have time to even tell you all the things that she plans to do to really put District 3 on the map, not only for a few schools, but for every school to be represented on that school board. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Box?
Thank you. Just want to echo Councilman St. Anthony's 5Bs of everybody coming here tonight and being part of our meeting. I really don't have a report per se, so I did have a good meeting today with the National Fitness Council about some outdoor, basically workout centers, which is very interested in. We'll be putting some stuff together to show the citizens and the council and the mayor. But other than that, I'll pass it on back to you, sir.
All right. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I don't have anything to report, but I would like to make a request of Council President Spivey, and that is, since we have a short agenda scheduled for this evening, I would like to request that we discuss tomorrow night's items this evening after hearing comments on non-agenda items from our people that are here in our audience.
Okie dokie.
If possible.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right.
Do we need to add that when we approve the agenda, or?
No, what we'll do, her insert there was fine. So basically what just kind of sum up what Councilwoman Cuellar said is, due to kind of our short agenda tonight, we were going to have an ordinance meeting tomorrow night to talk about a few different things. That meeting has been retracted. So tonight, after we finish with our comments to the council on non-agenda items, I'll gavel the floor and not accept any more questions once we're done, like we would normally adjourn. But instead of adjourning, we will roll into, I'll yield the floor to Councilwoman Cuellar so that she can go over a few things that would have been discussed last night. So that's what that will look like. So I'm not going to say it's an ordinance meeting. We're just taking advantage of a gift of time and an opportunity where we're already together. Fair enough? Thank you all, everyone. All right, so we have 2 public hearings on the docket that will be discussed, that will be decided upon as we move through our agenda. So first is notice is hereby given. Actually, can I go ahead and get a motion to enter a public hearing?
Motion to enter the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the city council to hear from the owners of and any interested citizens concerning the property located at 965 Grants Mill Road, Irondale, Alabama, and the city council's determination concerning demolition of the unsafe conditions located on such property. Before we move into citizen comments or questions, Councilwoman Cuellar, do you have any questions about this?
No questions.
Okay, Councilman Box,
questions.
Councilman Sims, none, myself, none. Anybody for the demolition that wants to speak for the demolition? No speakers. Are you speaking for the demolition, sir? Would you like to come on up and address? If we can get your name and address, sir.
Samuel South. I live at 525 Yellowstone Drive, Birmingham, Alabama, 3526. That was my grandmother's house. And my mother left it. My brother died, and she left it. And we, as a family, I've been trying to. Ken and Greg has turned notices in on getting it tore down. Talked to Greg about it several times, talked to Ken about it several times. And I'm trying to get the okay to get it tore down. I went to buy a permit and they won't sell me a permit. So if the council would give Greg them the okay to sell me a permit, I'll have that off you all board and get it tore down and moved out. So that's up to the city council to give me the okay.
Now, a question. If I recall correctly, because I know we've seen this property a number of times, I believe there is maybe a few brothers and sisters that y'all have, and y'all are having disagreements about how this property needs to be addressed.
Well, I had offered them the money to buy the property for what they was going to sell it for. They didn't want to sell it. So my sister had one of my nephews to go in and start putting up a roof. And he didn't finish the roof. And that's how it got to that part. So all I need to do is I can get the permit to finish tearing it down. I started on it, and I talked to Greg about it, and I told him that I would pay for the permit. He said, well, I can't issue you a permit because I don't have the recipe. He said, do whatever you want to do. If you go and start tearing it down, I won't say nothing. I said, okay. I started tearing it down, and one of my nephew came up there, the one that started putting the roof on, and he was saying that got all up in the uproar about it. So all I need to do is get the permit, tear the house down, get it cleared off, and keep the grass cut for right now.
Copy. Legal. Any questions that we need to? Obviously, it would put the city in a better financial place if we didn't have to tear it down. So, he's obviously willing to tear it down. Do we need to ensure that there's financial bandwidth, or what would be the next steps for putting this on him and not possibly having to do this, or do we just need to go ahead and do this so that we have it in our back pocket?
The concern is that the city can't issue a demolition permit on it because there is more than one owner. And so, that is the reason why they have not issued it yet. It would be a very similar thing here if the city allowed, him to come in and to tear that out. It would still create liability for the city because there are other owners. However, if the city were to proceed in this route, this would be in accordance with the state law.
So unless he gets everybody on board, I guess, to ask for the permit, we cannot give a permit. Though if we vote to abate, then there's nothing anyone can say, correct?
Excuse me. I don't understand why the city would be responsible for it, because my name is on the tax, on the tax bill. That should be able to take the city off responsibility.
There's actually 6 people that are on the tax rolls.
I understand that, but the 6 people can't afford to have it tore down. And
But they still have an ownership interest in it according to the tax records. And so if the city were to give it to just you, then the other people could actually contest and say that the city gave it, in the wrong way to you to actually allow you to tear it out and that they were damaged by that.
You see what do you see what she's saying?
I don't understand.
So basically, what she's saying is, and I'll try to paraphrase it as best I can, is that because there are other heirs that are named on the tax record, that we can't issue that, and we can't allow you to take sole action on that property because there are, even though they might not be able to financially afford it, they have an interest in that property, and if we issued you the permit and you tore it down, they could actually potentially seek damages from the city because we allowed you to take action on something they had an interest in and didn't consent to.
Okay, well, the city gives the person permit to put the roof on. The city did that. They
Okay.
did that, right? So
The city gave this gentleman a permit to put a roof on.
Yes, so the city.
I can't speak to that. I
Okay.
didn't know that.
Once he
Copy.
could give the city, give him the permission, well, now you telling me I'm part owner and you can't give me a permit. That's kind of backward to me.
I think there would be a bit of a difference in improving the actual property
That's
versus
what I was
completely
thinking.
taking it out.
Yeah. Improving a permit to approve improves everyone's standing and stake in the property, but demolishing it,
Exactly.
Well,
It wouldn't-
demolishing it would be that what I'm saying is they would still be property owners.
mhm.
You see what I'm saying? They started putting the roof on. They didn't have permission. Half of them, one of the guys started putting a roof on. So what I'm saying now is, since you all give him the permit to put the roof on, now you want it tore down. I'm offering you all that chance to get it tore down without putting a barrier on the city of Irondale. I don't need the city to do nothing I can do.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
But
He
Legal.
could actually, if you all were to vote that this property needs to be condemned, then, you could come in after the city does that work and then, pay for that.
Big part.
You could come in after the city tears it out if the council votes for that.
But-
You could come in and actually pay the city for that cost, and therefore it wouldn't be a burden to the city.
But now, I don't need the city to pay, because I don't know what the city's going to charge somebody to tear it down. So I already got a guy that's already given me a price. Now, if you use that guy that I'm gonna use, then I'll be able to put, because he's already given me a charge. So if you use that same person, I'll be willing to do that. But I can't afford to give any more money than what this guy's gonna charge me to tear it down.
Well, that would be up to you at that point that the city tore it out, because it will come back in front of y'all for the assessment of that cost.
It will go out for bids, correct?
It depends on the actual amount of it. If it's underneath,
I mean, I guess
a
could this
certain
guy
bid
make a
amount,
bid or-
then it won't be bid out. But you do.
So how much you talking about to tear it down?
We're just saying that if it's under if it's under $15,000, then we don't have to bid it out, and the city already has someone that they've been working with to be able to tear properties down that doesn't require for those properties to go out to bid.
Well, already got tore down. So all I need to do is move that part that I got tore down, so that cost won't be caught up in.
Well, I think the only thing that you all need to focus on tonight is if you're going to tear the property down. The rest of all this other stuff is really not the city concern about the heirs and
Right.
what's already been done. That's not our concern.
Right.
You all's concern tonight is only to determine if you want to proceed with tearing the house down.
And
And then
to our,
once the house is torn down, if he wants to come in and pay for it, fine. If he doesn't want to come in and pay for it, fine. It'll just be a lien on the property and nobody will be able to do anything to it until it's paid off.
so sir, I appreciate your comments, council. The decision we face tonight is, obviously, we've seen the pictures. We understand the condition of the house. We would be remiss if we did not move in one particular action or another. So, that obviously opens us up to exposure.
I have one question.
Sure.
How long
It would be
has,
Greg.
how long has this been going on? How long have these heirs had the opportunity to work this out?
I'm going to say years, a couple.
You know, not to say that they will.
Okay. Hey, come on up, please, sir. Please.
Let's wait till they finish their, so my question was, sir, how long have you and your co-owners of the property had to work out a solution? And so, our city inspector is going to give me the record on that.
It was first at the abatement board on March 16th, and they got a 120-day extension from that date. And through some paperwork, they ended up getting another 30-day extension in September.
Okay, so 2022, it has been working since 2022 in March.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Thank you for your comments, sir.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
We're gonna go ahead and ask for any other comments on the matter. Thank you, and then we'll close the public hearing. So I do not believe I had any public comments for the demolition. We transitioned into, I'm going to put that in the against the demolition category. Do we have any other comments about against the demolition? No other comments against the demolition? I would look for a motion to close this public hearing.
Motion closed.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, someone could go ahead and put us into our second public hearing.
Motion into a second public hearing.
Motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the city council to hear from the owners of and any interested citizens concerning the property located at 1224 Mill Lane, Irondale, Alabama, and the city council's determination concerning demolition of the unsafe conditions located on such property. At this time, I would take any comments for the demolition or any comments from the property owner. Councilman Quayle, did y'all have any questions before I proceed?
questions.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No.
Okay, myself, no questions. Any comments for the demolition? Any comments against the demolition of this property? No comments for or against. I'll accept the motion
Motion
to,
closed.
is it pertaining to the public hearing that we've exited? The one that we just, the second public hearing, or the one you spoke on earlier? Okay, when we get to the agenda, you can come up and speak for 2 minutes on agenda items only. Thank you.
Motion
All right.
closed.
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right, so we finished up our public hearings on that. Moving into deliberations on existing items in front of us. All right, so consent agenda item number 1, resolve the resolution 2022 R204 amends prior resolutions approved by the city council related to the compensation increase for public safety employees to include the positions of public safety dispatcher 2 and public safety dispatcher supervisor, and to modify all prior resolutions related thereto and accordingly. Basically, our dispatchers were kind of left off the merit increase resolution inadvertently, so this is an opportunity to fix that and do some house cleaning. Councilwoman Quayle, any questions there?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions. Do we agree to keep that on consent?
Yes.
Everybody's nodding. Outstanding. Item number 2, resolve the resolution 2022 R205 names the municipal property located at 3521 Ratliff Road, Irondale, Alabama, and previously known as the Zamora Temple as the Irondale Civic Center. Comment that I had was I was saw some stuff on the news and I was concerned, because we had no permanent plans for this. I reached out to the mayor. He confirmed that we are just simply taking the opportunity to rent it out. Assistant Fire Chief Doss has been extraordinary in gaining a little bit of revenue on that. So we are not making, just for everyone out there who might have saw it on the news, we are not talking about permanent plans for Zamora only while it is existing, and until we come up with any plans for that, we have the opportunity to rent it out and create a revenue stream, and that is what we are doing. We are simply changing the name. No permanent plans are in place. Councilwoman Cuellar, any questions?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No question.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
Myself, no questions. Do we agree to keep this name change on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Item number 3, resolve that resolution 2022 R206 declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance for the property located at 2314 3rd Avenue South, Irondale, Alabama 35210, and orders its abatement. Councilwoman Cuellar, any questions?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions. Do we agree to keep that on consent?
Yes.
All right. And then in regards to the 2 items under new business would be those public hearings that we just went through. So that gets us through the end of our agenda. At this time, I would take a motion to approve the form of the agenda.
Motion to approve the form of the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Since we've approved our agenda and finished our deliberations at this time, we will take comments to the council on agenda items only. Sir? Would you like to clarify or take advantage of your 2 minutes? It's going to have to run through the process of whether or not the demolition is approved or denied. You'll find out momentarily. Oh yeah, you're going to find it out here in about 15 minutes probably. Yep, absolutely.
First vote.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other comments to the council on agenda items only? All right. At this time, I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda, including items 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, no abstentions. All right. At this time, we would go ahead and progress down to item number 4, which would be under new business. If someone would like to take us through that resolution process.
It doesn't need to be a 3-step, just motion to approve.
Just a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2022-R-207.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. So that would vote for the demolition of said property, sir. That would vote for the demolition of that property. Yes, sir. We're going to, we've already have a contractor that I believe we worked with in the past. We're going to go ahead and most likely move forward with people that we've engaged with prior. Is there a particular person that you feel that he should have a conversation with, Mayor?
Yeah, he can talk to Brad because, even for somebody to do that type of work, there's a certain criteria, qualifications, bonding, business license. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes into it. So they can have the conversation. They can vet the person, and if it works, we're not trying to, run up the cost, but Brad and they are better ones to have that conversation with, to see what would be the necessary requirements, what would need to be done to be able to do that. And then I'll leave that up to them to make that decision and then share it with me once they vet everybody out.
So assistant. Okay. Gotcha. You got it. Item number 5, the second item under new business, if we could go ahead and start that process of moving that.
I make a motion that we move forward with resolution 2022-R-208.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. That finishes our agenda for the evening. Deliberation is over with. At this time, we would take any public comments to the council on non-agenda items. I believe Mr. Graham is coming forward. One moment, Mrs. Pike.
Two things. How's our Ruffner Park?
Do you mind asking your second question and we'll answer them both in turn?
Second, it's not really a question. It's just, I want y'all to think about where they're talking about putting the library. I'm not against the library, but we've spent money on study after study that says that's a retail corridor. We're taking it for an institutional use. Also, the amount of money we're talking about paying for it, we're talking about one lot. I've had that property under contract before. I watched it being filled. I know what you can do with it. And I don't think personally that that's a good location. Two reasons. One, it should be commercial. And two, it's not within our study. You know, we've been asked to participate in opinions and studies and do all this stuff. And then we turn around and it doesn't matter what we ask or what we come up with. But I just don't think personally that it's a good place to put the library. Again, I reiterate, I'm not against the library. I'm not against a new library. I just don't think that is the proper place to put it. And I know you weren't discussing it tonight, but it's got to go through the process and we got to go through the feasibility studies and all that. But just keep in mind what we're doing and let's think it through real good. Thank you.
Did you want to respond to his first question,
Yes,
Mayor?
well, first of all, I wanted to know when you say you want to update on Ruffner Mountain, could you
I was on
expound Ruffner Park? Could you expound on that a little bit more?
What is our standing on it? Where we?
I mean, what do you want to know? I mean, what do you want to know?
Where are our plans? What is our building? I mean, has it been approved or where we stand on it?
I think the last time that we had a resolution to be able to engage GMC, to be able to come up with the drawings and everything that was needed to be able to do that. Those things have not been completed yet.
Okay, that's all I wondered, where we stood on our drawings or contract. I haven't heard anything about
Those are things that have to come before the council. Those are things that will definitely be made public before any decisions are made. So it's nothing that I can do to go out there to build a park without getting consent from the council to be able to do that.
I realize that, and I wasn't trying to approach it in that way. I just haven't heard anything about it, and I was wondering where we stood on it.
Well, Ross, you say you haven't heard anything about it, but have you contacted me or come down here to ask me about
Came
what was
Monday,
going on?
but you weren't here.
Well, I've been out of the country.
Well, Mayor, I don't. All I asked was where we stood. I didn't need a sermon on it.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Graham. Any other comments to the council on non-agenda items? Yes, ma'am.
This is just my 2 cents worth about the Zamora Temple. And I know we're just taking baby steps now, but I would like for a satellite library to be put in there at some point in time. It may not be this year, it may not be next year, but just for everybody to have that on their radar. You know, we'll have a library, and then it would be wonderful if we're going to have a civic center with so many wonderful things in it. It would be good to have a satellite edition for our library.
Thank you.
Nobody's smiling.
Any other comments on non-agenda items this evening? All right. Since we don't have any other comments on non-agendas, I will go ahead and close the floor and yield to Councilwoman Cuellar.
Thank you so much, Council President Spivey. You should have copies of the rough draft of what we have here in regard to regulation of fireworks. I've included the data from the survey that was conducted, and I'd like to thank Emma
I don't think we have.
Tolbert, as well as Lee Allison for getting us this information. My apologies, Councilman Sims. Did you not? Here, there you go.
Can I get a copy of that as well? We need two down on this side.
Sorry. So everything remained the same as far as what we discussed. The only thing that we needed to work out was section D on page 3. The national or community celebrations or special events. And now that we have concluded with the survey, it has here grant and issue a permit to a property, qualified person, firm, partnership, corporation, or other legal entity for producing, making, or giving a prototechnic display of fireworks within the city of Irondale. We were needing to know how many permits could an organization apply for. And when you look at the survey, it was over 55% of the respondents that said they would like it to be no more than 2. But that would not include July the 4th or the July the 4th Eve or Christmas Eve. This would be in addition to those 2 holidays. So that's what the 2 would mean there if we were to go with issuing 2 permits per organization.
The 2 permits per organization annually was your recommendation, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Individuals said that's what they would prefer. That is only twice a year. But what does 55% break down into numbers?
I wrote that down. We gave respondents until the 14th, I believe it was. Was that correct? The deadline for the survey? And we gave them until the 14th to respond. And so again, I want to be clear in stating that organizations would be able to pop fireworks on Christmas Eve as well as July the 4th. This doesn't count in that additional 2 permits. But we received
There were 80 total
right, a
responses, I
total of
believe.
80.
80 responses
That's correct.
and what, 45? I mean, how was it broken down to determine which was 2?
0 to 2 times per year, 3 to 5 times per year, if you look at the handout. And also 6 to 8 times per year, I believe is what we had. Is that what we had on?
5 to 7 and more than 8.
And more than 8. And when we discussed it, gentlemen, the last time, I mean, that was what we were discussing, is coming up with a medium, a compromise, because we had said, well, what about 4 times? And we were taking into account that there were residents that were talking about those veterans that have PTSD, people that have dogs, people that have infants. And you'll notice that those comments are made in these responses, as well as people that have other animals and what it does to them. So in looking for a medium, 2 is one that I noted would be a good medium versus having more than that, because that would already be 4 per year for an organization. You got Christmas Eve, July the 4th, and these additional 2 permits would make it 4 times per year. Any additional comments?
I don't see that there's some organizations out there trying to get permits to have fireworks shows every week that we're having an issue with that. we have 2 to 3 on average a year for the last, I don't know how many years. I just don't see the permits being an issue versus the fireworks going off in all of our neighborhoods for weeks before and weeks after the 2 holidays that we're talking about as the issue that I think most of our citizens have.
Because I mean,
Yes, we addressed that. We said we want our citizens to be able to have their fireworks on the 4th of July Eve as well as Christmas Eve. We agreed that that would be a good thing for our,
New Year's Eve.
excuse me, thank you for that. But we also have some organizations that do more than that. And so we were trying to strike a balance for our residents as well as for the organizations.
can I ask one question? I mean, I know the word is organization, but the only organization that I know in the city that shoots off fireworks is Church of the Highlands. So are we talking about Church of the Highlands, or are we talking about, I just want us to be clear, is it Church of the Highlands we are crafting this for, or there are actually other organizations that we know are shooting fireworks that is causing a problem in the city?
The purpose of this is any organization, whether current or future. That's what this is addressing. Current and future organizations. Trying to strike a balance that's fair for our residents as well as fair for the organization.
There is also a component in there regarding citizens that like to shoot fireworks for like a week before 4th of July and a week after 4th of July, and same thing with New Year's, trying to dial that in a little bit where they still have the ability to pop fireworks during those holidays, but making it illegal to do it for a freaking week.
Yeah, I just
basically.
keep hearing organizations versus individuals. You know, I don't hear this as being an individual ordinance. I keep hearing the word that's keep resonating as it's been talked about is organization. So it's not really, I hadn't heard really a lot of people talking about the individuals that are doing the fireworks. I keep hearing people talking about the organizations, and I'm just asking, is the organization Church of the Highlands?
My response to that, sir, is if you look at the ordinance, it covers individuals, as Councilman President Spivey noted. That is, if you look at Article 8, Sections A, moving on down, individuals are allowed to pop fireworks every year
Yeah, I'm just
on
asking.
December 31st and January 1st from dusk until 12:30 a.m. on that day.
I'm just
Also, July the 3rd and the 4th, from dusk until 12:30 a.m. on that day. And then when you look at section,
I'm asking.
One moment, Councilman
I'm
Fair.
asking various. You know, I'm asking.
We dialed in the
Okay.
citizens pretty well.
Okay.
The point of contention that triggered the survey was we could not come to an agreement on the organizational component of the
Right.
ordinance. We pretty much dialed in the citizens and everything. We were pretty good agreement with that. It was just regarding issuing permits to organizations.
I mean,
Yeah, no,
Council
I mean,
President,
fair question.
I'm
Yeah.
just asking.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when I bring resolutions, and you
Yeah.
know, they always get questioned. I'm just asking two questions that I asked. Number one, are we talking about Church of the Highlands? Second thing I asked, when you come up with a percentage, what's the number that was based to be able to come up with that percentage? Those are very specific questions that I was looking for answers to, and I still don't feel like I received those answers.
well,
I would say that to your point, it does seem that Church of the Highlands is the only organization that is shooting fireworks often on a quarterly basis. And it's not in my district, but I do hear traffic on Facebook about it when I choose to look at it rarely. So that's kind of what is brought that. Okay. So we're doing now the quantitative data. I can't give you the answer to that, but yes.
Yeah, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
I'm not here to debate anything.
Yeah.
I'm just asking a question.
I don't think anybody
to be
wanted
able
to
get-
necessarily
to get
single
clarity.
Church of the Highlands out, but to my knowledge, they are the only organization that is deploying fireworks during the year.
Okay.
So
Yes, thank you, Councilman Spivey, because that was one of the things that we noted, is that we didn't want to single out any organization per se. So if it applies to current organizations, we wanted this to also apply to future organizations while not naming anyone, because it's not targeting any organization, but it's trying to come up with a means that is fair to both the organization as well as our residents.
So based on the intel that we have here, are we prepared to recommend a quantity on the organizations? If I misspoke about the citizens, I apologize and please correct me, but I thought we had the citizens dialed in. I'm pretty sure
I think so.
this is only about
Yes, it's only
permits.
section D.
Okay.
That's it.
Copy.
Because we agreed on everything else in
Right.
the ordinance, with the exception of D, because we wanted a survey to be done. We've now completed that. And so that's what this is now doing. It's moving forward, and it's setting that. And I'm asking that we consider doing what our residents that did respond to the survey, their majority are asking for no more than 2 permits from an organization. And
I would,
again,
yeah.
being clear that this does not mean that they would not be able to get a permit on Christmas Eve or the eve of July the 4th.
So your recommendation is outside of the holidays that we've already discussed. Your
Yes.
recommendation is 2 additional permits on an annual basis per organization.
That's what our residents
Okay.
stated.
So that is your recommendation. Councilman Box?
Well, my comment is, yes, the raw data says 55% says 0 to 2, but many of the comments on the 0 to 2 seem to have misunderstood about what this was applying to. Many of even the 0 to 2 said that they didn't really have a problem with the shooting of the fireworks. Number 2, the mayor pointed out it was, and I think Councilwoman McQuarrie shared, it's 80 individuals responded. Gosh, 80 people on a city of 13,000, that's a pretty poor response. And I'll be glad to say it, and any citizen that wants to talk to me about it can talk to me about it. I'll give you my cell phone number. Number 3, I know we're not targeting Church of the Highlands, but if you look at the addresses, about 45 to 50% of the addresses of the respondents are coming from addresses there close to Church of the Highlands. So let's just say we are targeting Church of the Highlands, okay? Because those citizens over there don't like it. So I understand that. I can respect that. But 2 times a year for citizens and 2 times a year for corporations, that does give it, quote unquote, once a quarter, which is what I talked about. I still think that we're being pretty nitpicky on citizens being able to celebrate the wonderful events that this country has, even if they do it a few days after the 4th of July, and they do it a few days after New Year's, because not everybody has the benefit of working Monday through Friday and having Saturday and Sunday off, or having the 4th of July off of every day. Every 4th of July. Many people are in retail and have to work the 4th of July. So what if they want to celebrate with their friends 7 to 10 days later? Why are we coming up with this limiting of the citizens in this realm for 80 respondents? That's my comments.
So is your suggestion that we just continue this thing indefinitely as it currently is or is not on the books at this time? If it's yes, it's fine. It's just
My
your opinion.
suggestion is we've had 80 people that responded as complainants. 80 of 13,000.
Right.
That's my suggestion. I wanted to hear from the citizens. I don't consider 80 people hearing from the citizens. I can't base a decision. I've heard from 26 people at Mountain Lake Estates that they'll shoot fireworks anytime they're, excuse my French, but good and ready to shoot them at our lake. So am I going to have to answer to Chief McDaniel or to the police chief coming out there because somebody's shooting fireworks and someone 2 miles down the road sees the fireworks going off and sends them out there to Mountain Lake Estates? I'm sorry. All we're doing is putting enforcements here because some people don't like it. and some people have sensitivities, and I get it. And if it's going crazy, and if it's happening after, if it's happening after the time frame that we scheduled on New Year's Eve and on the 4th of July, we did put an hour schedule on that. And then during the rest of the year, we have 10 p.m. So if it's happening after 10 p.m., okay, there's an issue there. But if it's not happening after 10 p.m., we're becoming totalitarian in this issue, in my opinion, and we're doing it for 80 people. That's my comments.
Sims.
If I can respond to that.
Let's go in order.
Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with what we agreed to as far as the individuals and the 2 days and holidays, and seeing if we can cut down on it sounding like explosions for a week before and after, which is pretty much the complaints we've heard in most of our neighborhoods. I see no reason to restrict permits. We haven't had an issue with permits. I don't think we need to put we're here to solve problems. There's no problem with the permits process as far as I can tell right now. I don't, again, 2 or 3 a year doesn't seem to be excessive. Again, if there were companies coming into Irondale every week trying to blow up fireworks, I would love it. Our citizens wouldn't, but that we probably wouldn't want to tone down some. But 3 a year, I don't see an issue.
Okay. If we have one organization that's currently doing it in our community, Church of the Highlands, they like to have it quarterly. I see no reason to stand in their way. So I would, if they do quarterly fireworks displays, and I understand the comment about New Year's and 4th of July, how that's technically 4 opportunities. I get what you're saying, but they might not have their conferences around those dates per se. So I would not stand in the way of them altering. I would not be in favor of forcing them to alter, to deviate from what they've currently been doing. So I would be fine with 4 permits per organization. Just that's my thoughts on it. I still like skinnying down and I understand what you're saying. You said it with great passion, and I appreciate it. Skinnying down to the days that we've kind of discussed and everything like that. I don't know if it makes a difference because you're in an HOA, correct? I don't know.
We are not.
You're not in HOA. Okay, my bad. I apologize. I would ask for, and as an organization, y'all could do something, if you wanted
The
to.
organization or the individuals.
Exactly.
themselves.
Exactly. So I would be in favor of skinning it down as far as personal use, just because I think a week on each side is a bit excessive, and 4 permits for organizations. That would be my stance on it. Otherwise, back to the drawing board.
Right, and when we had this discussion, gentlemen, I'll remind you that this was the sticking point. And when we discussed doing a survey, I did ask, what are the means, which you got copies of? How can we go about getting this so that as many people can participate? All right, and so I asked that question, said, well, we can have this go out, we can put it on the city's website, we can post it onto our Facebook pages. We can also post it, send it out to our email distribution list to try to get as much response as we could. We made the deadline, gave them plenty of time to answer. So if people choose not to answer, I don't see where we should say, well, gee whiz, we only got 80 responses. They had opportunities to respond. The second point that I would like to make is that we do need to take into account that there are veterans that have PTSD and they have issues when they hear this going on constantly. We have people that have infants. You saw the responses here. The question was very clear. How many times per year is acceptable for an organization to conduct fireworks in the city of Irondale? It didn't say individuals. It didn't say you. It said an organization. How many times per year? These are the responses. There were 8 of them that may have misinterpreted it, but out of 80, it isn't fair to say that a majority of the people misunderstood what was going on. I'm asking that we strike a balance that takes into account the comments, takes these into account, that there are people who have elderly people who have pets, and that was several of them that said that.
Right.
And it makes them very, very, very nervous. We have veterans that have PTSD. It makes them extremely nervous.
So, Councilwoman Cuellar, what I would suggest is to go ahead, get it on an agenda, and just we'll see how the body moves on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
good.
And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have a total consensus. I am agreeing to 4 times a year, but then the citizens need to have a little bit more organization at 4 times a year after just reading through it. And I just don't think, I guess I have the chief and Brad, could y'all answer, have we had any violations or any citations that we've issued for
We don't
fireworks?
have anything in place.
I think, I guess the question I had too, just to make sure we understand, and if we're going to put this later, we can read, but are we talking about permitting for anyone that shoots fireworks or just organizations?
Just organizations.
Okay. Typically, anybody that has shot fireworks, but Church of the Highlands stopped shooting fireworks the year I came here because we actually went there to do an indoor thing that they decided to do because of the complaints. But we haven't had anybody that's come to get a permit for a like commercial firework demonstration since I've been here.
So can you state for me again when you came, sir?
June of 2018.
So before June of 2018, Church of Fireworks, the Church of the Highlands was doing it outside, to your knowledge, but after 2018, they haven't done fireworks outside.
No, they did one indoor show that we went to approve the things. It wasn't fireworks, but that was the last time I think that was even done. We haven't been out unless Chief Dawson remembers a time that I don't.
So is Chief Wiggins still here and can tell me how many times we've had complaints against organizations doing fireworks over the past 2 years?
Yes, give me just a minute.
Hey, Chief. Against organizations doing fireworks since 2018, as Chief Doss just stated, how many calls or how many complaints have we had to answer for fireworks going off? And have I don't know if we've issued citations because evidently we can't issue citations, but have you had a number of calls against organizations, not against citizens?
That's been a lot of years. I know we probably received at least one call. I don't know how many. It's been several years, but we probably received at least one. I mean, I don't know how many calls come into dispatch, but I just know we've probably received at least one. But it's been several years, so I don't know if any we received lately. So
you wouldn't say it's an extreme problem at the or up to date?
I don't think so. I mean, again, we received a couple calls when it happened back in the day, a couple years ago, several years ago. But it's been several years that I can remember that we've had them.
Very good, Chief. Thank you so much. Thank you, Council.
Put it on the docket. The body will move.
Right, and again, because it will be an ordinance, the public will be allowed to come and speak in favor of or against, okay?
That'd be great.
They will have that opportunity. This came as a result of some citizens that did come before the council, if you may recall, that complained about fireworks. And we gave them our word that we would address this issue, and that's how all this came about. So again, the public will have that opportunity when it's put on our agenda as an ordinance.
Next item.
The next item is, let me get to that. Trying to look for it. Let's see. We can cover the budgeting process. Did y'all get that?
Yes.
Physical budget submission and adoption.
Yes, fiscal
You didn't
budget
get one?
submission.
Okay. This has to do with the budgeting process that gives us some, as a guide. Have y'all had a chance to look over the information that's been presented? Are there any questions on it?
I think the main sticking point is you lay out a blueprint for how the process is supposed to move. I know that no one likes having their back against the wall in October. I don't know if the tentative dates that the tentative budget being the first week of August, I don't know if that is even, I don't know if your department heads are capable of having that type of information, because you still have a whole quarter of a year that you're basing. I mean,
Yeah, nobody, I mean, this is the first time that I've seen the
understand.
document, and
Yeah.
nobody even considered to ask us what would work inside the house to be able to provide you all with the information within a proper time.
I'm receiving this for my first time as well, so that's why I'm just even posing the question.
May I respond to that, Councilman Spivey?
Sure.
Okay. This is based on coming to council meetings throughout the years. The council members received the tentative budget the first week in August. And then afterwards, if you look at step 2, the second week, they discussed these, any line item questions, not all, but any line item questions during a finance committee meeting with the department heads. That's how it's been throughout the many years that I've been coming to council meetings. So I didn't see that as something that would be an unreasonable guide to have, since it's been done for many, many years.
Well, I mean, I've been
may
here.
I please finish?
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
David, if you give me an opportunity to speak to that, because I've been here since 2012, so I know when the budgets have been given to previous councils.
We'll let her finish her comment,
Okay.
and then I'll
All
let
right.
you respond.
Right, because the city's budget does need to be approved by the end of September, because the new fiscal year begins on October 1st. This is why the council needed a tentative budget in August, not in September, because then they're pushed up against the wall in trying to get the budget approved and having their answers that they need to make a decision. As it states here, the first fiscal year begins October 1st. The only time that it doesn't begin on October 1st is when there is a new council, a new administration that is elected. That is noted in step 4. And they are extended because they need time to take a look at the data that is there, that has been presented by the city clerk and the incoming mayor. But August is a reasonable amount of time, because if you wait too long, then you're pressed to make a decision.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say there.
Mayor?
Oh, I was just saying that to be able to provide that in August is not a sufficient amount of time, for us to be able to do that, because the first step starts with the mayor providing the budget to the council for the council to be able to do whatever you all want to do with it at that time. Now, this year, I think I even laid out the calendar to say how everything was going to be laid out. Nobody said anything. Nobody complained. Nobody asked for, any additional time. So that would be my thing. Number 2, when an incoming council come in, there's nothing states that it has to be extended to November to give them an opportunity. Number 2, there's nothing that says state law wise, I mean, there may be best practices and recommendations, but there's nothing that you can point to in the code that says when things are supposed to so how things are supposed to be provided, when they're supposed to be provided, because you don't even have to have a budget. So it's not like it'll be the end of the world, if you don't have it. We want to make sure that we provide it in a timely manner. We try to give out a financial report every month, and I will start giving you all a report every month, so you'll know exactly what's going on in the city and the direction that we're going in. But I would just say that that's not enough time for us to be able to do what we need to do, because we have to remember that the finances also run a month in arrears. So it's not like by the time we get August information, we don't collect August information until September the 20th, which takes us into the next month.
Councilman Box.
If she wanted to respond, go ahead and let her, and then I'll.
Okay.
Yes, this tentative budget, I do not recall getting anything, any orarium from the mayor around August. What we got was financial data in September. And I requested a work session or a finance committee meeting to discuss this because I knew that we had a budget that would need to be approved by at least October 1st. That's the first thing. The second point is the data that we received in September was as of July the 31st. So it was not asking for August, but it was as of July the 31st. And in point to a newly elected administration, it has been the practice throughout the many years that I have been coming to council meetings that the administration that is going out has not approved the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. They have left that for the newly elected council administration to approve its budget. Elections are typically held in August, and the new administration is typically sworn in November. And that's why it makes those statements when a newly elected administration is elected. Now, we can strike the word November and leave it as is elected. The budget and fiscal year will be extended so that they can have that opportunity. But that has been the practice throughout the many years that I've been coming to council meetings, and I think Councilman Spivey, you may recall that has been the practice.
Never nailed down or specifically specific, but
Right.
And I have been I have been a part of this council where it wasn't passed in the previous year's financial budget was adopted, and then the new one was approved some months later.
Right.
I think many months later.
Right.
I don't think that was because of lack of information per se. I think that was more about, I don't know, maybe disagreement. But we've always managed to get it done, or to Mayor's point, implemented the prior year's budget since no one is pressing us specifically to have. I understand wanting to put order into things. Order makes things nice and tidy, and I get that. But sometimes it's just not, everything doesn't always fit in a box per se. So I respect I do think a process is acceptable. I don't necessarily want to hold Mayor to specific dates, specifically because of what he just mentioned. We get to August, we don't even have August's information, and then the month prior is still running in the rear. So by the time we approve the budget, it's almost like he has to start working on the next year's. So I think that is a pretty compressed amount of time, Mayor.
Well, the only thing I would ask you all to do as a body, I feel that this is pretty fair. You give me a date that you want to receive the budget, and I'll give it to you on that date or before that date. But once I give it to you during that time, then I'm out of the way. Staff is out of the way. Everybody's out of the way. We're just going to turn it over to you all on whatever date you all decide to do it. And then from there, I'll let you all determine what we need to be able to finance the city going forward.
So I would put it on you to say, if you could look at your calendar and the speed at which you get your information, I would gladly accept a date from you.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation, because you're the one who does the work. Your department heads come to you with your recommendations. You know the speed at which the information gets into your hands. So the date that you provide would be my recommendation, because this is your process and your department's head process. I want to yield to that.
And like I said, I'll just say going forward, once we give it to you all, we out of the way. So whenever it get adopted, after that, we have nothing to do with it. That will be left up to the council to do that by calling your own work sessions, by having your own discussions, But once it's turned over to you all, then we're going to turn it over to you and move out of the way.
Copy that.
May I
Thank
comment
you.
on
Please.
that? And Mayor, I think that's a good stance, but we would need your input and the department head's input on line items that we just don't have our finger on the pulse like you do.
I think you all
And-
have enough institutional knowledge and have enough brains on the council that you all really don't need us to be able to do that, Councilman Box. That's just my take on
I understand, but so
on the process.
are you saying that you would not come at our request? You would not make the department heads available to us for the questioning? Because that, to me, I trust you, but there are some questions that I may have because I just don't understand.
Right.
And so I do think it would be a little, I don't know, it's not good teamwork to say we're just going to move out of it. So,
Well,
I guarantee it's not good teamwork for people to come and be accusatory to you
Yeah.
as well.
Well, my
that
thing-
all needs to go to a way too.
Yeah.
So
Well,
let me cover this.
Okay.
We're a team. These people out here want to see us being a team, not sniping at each other. And we have way too much sniping going on from time to time. And if I do have a question, I'd like to try to get with you, but also sometimes it's good to hear it in this public setting because it gets things out that I may not even completely understand. So I would hope that you would not move completely out of a scenario on it. I do think August I'm not doing the budget for my company in August. I'm doing the budget for my company at the end of August, 1st of September, and winging it until October. But now I understand with the city, we have to have certain things in place by October the 1st if we're giving employees raises so they can go into effect or they suffer. But the teamwork aspect is when you give it to us, then it would be good to have that finance committee meeting or whatever we need to do there to say, hey, Mayor, what is going on with this? Let Chief Wiggins explain that, or let Chief McDaniel or the other ones do that, just to have you completely move out. That's going to really handicap me.
Well, what I'm saying is, because there seems to be a deal about when it's going to be adopted, the only thing that I'm saying is once we give it to you, then it's not our job to determine if it gets adopted before September the 30th.
Oh, yes. I totally
That's what I'm saying. So if you want to put that into there and say, hey, we need it by a certain time, I'm just saying once we provide it to you all, I'm not going to be coming back saying, have you all decided when you're going to have a resolution to be able to adopt? That's what I'm saying. I'm going to get out of the way. The staff is going to get out of the way and give that total control to the council to determine that date that it's adopted. If it's not adopted by September the 30th, we're still going to keep moving and we're still going to keep doing whatever we need to do. I'm just saying that we don't need two chefs in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. We'll do what we're supposed to do on this side. But once we do what we're supposed to do on this side, then we will give it to you all, but we will always be here to support the process.
Very good. That was my misunderstanding, Mayor, because I thought you were saying that the department heads and yourself might not attend an ordinance meeting or finance committee.
Well, no, I think you hit the nail on the head, Robert. There is things, I mean, I don't care if you've been doing budgeting for 15 or 20 years. There are things that you all don't know.
I guarantee you. Yes, sir. You're right.
That we see and we know. There are certain things that happen in the fire department.
Yes, sir.
I don't know those things.
Yes, sir.
But I rely on the people that are here to be able to do it. So that's the only thing that I'm saying, because to me, that's what happened at the last time when we tried to adopt the budget. It became contentious about who's in control of the budget. I understand after 22 years of municipal government who's in control of the budget, who adopts the budget, and who amends the budget. I just don't want that to happen again.
Yes, sir.
That's why I said once we give it to you all, then it will be left up to the council to put the resolutions and all of those things in place to be able to get it adopted.
That's great, man. So once again, you and the department heads would be available for questioning in a finance committee meeting to explain questions that I might have on a certain line item of what's this about.
Yeah.
Because
And-
my questions are not coming from, I think the mayor's messing up here. I think Chief's wanting too much money just because he wants to give a buddy something. My questions are truly coming from, can we spend this much on this? Is there somewhere we might could save a little money there? Or, hey, that looks great. Is there something else you might want? My questions are, I'm out there. I run my staff of about a $4 million company. We all work together and we all work as a team. And that's been one of my experiences here, that we need to be a little bit more as a team. And we need to not try to be superstars. We just all need to rely on each other, depend on each other, and be courteous and kind to each other. I'm done. Thank you.
Copy that. Councilman Sims?
No, I mean, I'm definitely not opposed to having a guideline to try and keep us on track. And I would agree with you about, first of all, we are all glad I'm not doing a budget because that's not my thing. So good on all y'all who deal with that. I can read it and understand it, but you're not going to get one from me created out of thin air. So I trust the mayor, I trust our department heads, and I would trust that they are going to get us information, I guess, as best as possible, as soon as they are able to. Again, I don't know when that is. The mayor would know when that would be, and I would be flexible to put that in wherever it needs to be. But
So basically what I'm getting is we're going to get a commitment from the mayor. And then once that budget is handed to us on that commitment, the ball's literally in our hands. And if we want to structure a meeting around that date, then we can. But that's on us, you know. So if you want to write something up and put it on the docket after we have a date from the mayor, then by all means we'll move on it.
Right, and that was one of the reasons that I drafted this, to keep what happened the last time from happening again, so that we can be as a team. And so one of the ways that we can is, if we look at number 1 there, and thanking the mayor for his comments on that, I would suggest that we consider that we revise that. So it says, once the council requests the tentative budget, which is what he asked for, the mayor shall submit a tentative budget to the council. So we word it that way. So again, once the council requests a tentative budget, the mayor shall submit a tentative budget to the council. And we don't have August, we don't have anything, but it's the council making that request. And then in number 2, the council shall schedule a finance committee meeting, strike on the second week of August, but simply say the council shall schedule a finance committee meeting to discuss line item questions that council members may have and provisions of the tentative budget with the mayor and department heads. And then on number 4, strike in November. However, when a newly elected administration is elected, the budget and fiscal year will be extended so that the newly elected administration can review the tentative budget and make decisions on the city's fiscal year budget. So all that's being stricken is in November, and then number 2 and number 1 is making those revisions.
can I ask a question?
Please.
I'm new here still. I
Yes.
feel like the council can amend and change the budget at any time, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So is there anything
once-
preventing a council from creating a budget and then a new council that maybe gets elected, changing it after they come into office if it's a different council?
Nothing.
Okay. I was just trying to-
I think it's usually just been a courtesy. I think that's what
courtesy.
kind of how I recall it, just a
Right.
courtesy.
It's
But
been
yeah,
courtesy.
there's nothing that would stop us from passing a budget on our way out that the next group would have to deal with and possibly amend. So I mean, it's just been, like we've all agreed, it's just been courtesy.
It's been common practice.
So I would say write it up, make your changes so that we can consider it, and we will move.
Legal,
Next.
did you get those? If not, I'll get them to you.
What
Thank
would
you.
this be called? I mean, would it
It's a
just be a
resolution.
resolution?
Yes,
Like a,
yes.
The biggest thing in all of this is that when we have ordinances on the books, and I think we're going to speak about this here momentarily. I'm not sure what order you're going in.
Yes.
If we don't follow an ordinance, then it's a lot different than not following a resolution.
Thank you.
So
That was going to be my question.
yes, so I'm not going to explain that any further, but I think y'all understand where I'm coming from on
Yes.
that. So having these things in resolutions is a much better plan. Plus, it's, I think, outdated in fact anyway. So we're not even following
Yes.
it. So
And that's why I'm asking us to look at this last one, which has to do with our agenda. One of the things that, you know, I felt, you know, it's because it is a law, it's unless the new council changes these things, then they're applicable to us. And so what I'm asking that we do with this one on the agenda is that we remove it from the ordinance and consider the wording for a resolution.
I think our
That's
current
shown in-
agenda. I
that's
think
shown
our
in red. Remove it from the ordinance, but then make it into a resolution.
I think
instead.
our current agenda is a perfect model for a resolution. But I mean, if you want to write it up, by all means.
Yeah, no, this is section 2-156.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have a copy of that one?
I do.
Actually, removing that section from the ordinance.
From which ordinance are you talking about?
The ordinance that we have currently in place. Our city code.
Thank you.
So just removing this one section, adding the red, and it becoming just a resolution. Is
Yes,
that correct? Okay,
yes.
make sure I'm on the same page. For the rest of the ordinance regarding the mayor
We-
and council would stay
Yeah,
an ordinance?
Right,
Or is there anything else we would want to make a resolution?
what it would do is have us to look at everything there that we currently have in place and narrowing it down where it's very simplified, and then anything that really doesn't pertain as far as an ordinance, which is what David was, Council President Spivey was referring to, that we look at working with resolutions versus keeping that as an ordinance.
What the gist of this is,
Are you talking about receiving the receiving the agenda earlier than Thursday or Friday? Is that what you're requesting?
Yeah, because sometimes we have 23, 21 items on an agenda and we don't get them until Friday afternoon, sometimes on Saturday. We have council meeting on Tuesday, and it's a lot of documents to have to read through and then to be prepared to ask your questions and to try to get answers to those questions is very difficult at times. So the way this is worded is, if you have items on the agenda, and you've got some that aren't complete, send the council what you've got so that we can get started on that, reviewing that, and getting questions answered if we have questions. And then send the remaining copies of matters to be presented as far in advance of the meeting as time for preparation will permit. So this way, we're not bogged down, because, gentlemen, I don't know about you, but it's been a challenge. It's been a real challenge to read through 194 pages, 340 pages over the weekend. And I know that all of us, we're very busy. Dave Spivey, in your case, you have plans with your family, so do you, Councilman Box and Councilman Sims, where we have plans over the weekend, and there is no way that we can look at that. And this isn't an isolated event that, where this happens with this current council. This has been a complaint that has been going on for years and years and years. And I'm not one that likes to complain. I'm one that likes to come up with solutions so that we don't have repetition, these things coming up time and time and time again, but we would actually have something that could help. and resolving it.
Can I just ask?
So what-
I'm
please.
trying. So I'm just trying to find out: is it saying that by Wednesday before the Tuesday council meeting, you all want to have everything that's going to be on the agenda? That's what I'm trying to find out. Is that what we're?
Yes, as much as we can
Okay.
get on the Wednesday before the Tuesday meeting, so that we have ample time to review it, to ask our questions, and be prepared when we come to our council meeting, so our council meetings are not long with asking these questions that really should be answered before we come to our council meeting.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we clear. Like tonight is Tuesday, so you all want to have for the next council meeting by Wednesday of next week what you're going to discuss on the 15th?
Yes, as much.
I wish in a perfect municipal world that everything fell in order and you would be able to do that. But that's just not the way that it happens. You can talk to any city in Jefferson County about, after all, I used to be a city clerk. So I know what the other city clerks in the city go through. So it's not, first of all, I don't want people to think that this is something that's just an Irondale issue. This is something that happens with all of the municipalities because there's no perfect timing when certain things show up and when you have to put them on the agenda. The only thing that I would say that if we do that, don't have a problem with it. But we will not be taking anything late from anybody going forward. So if that's the date, if folks don't have their stuff in to give Lee the ample amount of time, we may sit up here going forward and have one item, two items on the agenda. But that's because you all are requesting an unreasonable deadline, which we will honor that. I just want you to know going forward, when we get emails and when we get phone calls about, can you add this to the agenda? Can you add this to the agenda? No, we can't. We're not going to add this to the agenda because what we get you on that Wednesday will be what we will get you to have on the council meeting for the next Tuesday. So we're not going to piecemeal it. We're not going to be sending stuff out all through the day or whatever. She has more responsibilities and more things to do in her job than just to do agenda and to get this information out. So I just want to be clear. No problem if you all want it by that, but we will be hardcore with honoring the deadline that if things are not in, and if we don't have anything on the agenda other than approve bills and give reports, that's what we will do going forward.
I'll go ahead and respond to that. The wording is very reasonable. I'm going to go ahead and read it. Council meeting on the Wednesday preceding the city council meeting on the following Tuesday. If some copies of matters to be presented are not ready, the city clerk shall send the copies of matters to be presented that are available on Wednesday, and note that the remaining copies of matters to be presented will be sent as far in advance of the meeting as time for preparation will permit. However, if copies of matters to be presented do not arrive in time for the city council to review them, the item or items will be postponed for the next council meeting. Discretionary spending matters may be added at any time before the council meeting. So again, it's striking a balance, being reasonable in the approach, but helping us so that we aren't bogged down and stressed trying to get all of this information done within a day. It's trying to get and help the council in the work that we are tasked with doing, which is being prepared when we come to the council meetings to conduct the business of the city, so that our council meetings don't last until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Thank you, Council Quayle.
The only thing that I was saying, Council President, Councilwoman Quayle, I'm not even arguing or debating what you have written or what you would like for to be the rule. I'm saying that's fine. That could be the rule. I'm just telling you what we're going to do on this side, that if it's not in by Monday, and when we send it to you on Wednesday, that's it. We're not going to be sending half information because, I mean, you all know how things get edited, changed. We're not going to be doing that all day. I'm just saying, I love your rule and it's good, but I'm also saying on this side that when we send it, that's it. We're not sending partial information, 2 or 3 pages here, 7 pages. I'm just saying if Wednesday's going to be the day, that's the day that we're going to honor, and we'll make sure that you get it on that date. But we're not doing anything after that unless you all add it at the council meeting.
So what I would say on this is we need to do some soul searching and see if we're comfortable with that, because Mayor is obviously saying that, okay, if we do this, then we need to think about the potential implications of that information coming to us on Wednesday. I understand exactly what you're talking about. I mean, this was a perfect storm. I was out of town since Friday, come home, it's Halloween. Here we are on Tuesday. I get it. Okay. Totally understand. And sometimes we have a lot of agenda items, a lot of attachments. I get it. But we really need to think very carefully about what we're about to pose on his office. Please, sir.
So right now, our practice is we try to get everything ready by Thursday because we're not open on Friday. True. So, as a businessman, if we've got to strike a balance here, then Thursday at noon. But, and now I don't know if I could ask, but I would suppose there's sometimes Lee is even in here on Friday, possibly preparing the agenda, or April's taking over doing stuff like that herself. Is that an accurate
Yes.
assumption as well?
Yes.
So Wednesday may be a little bit ideal. You know, you could ask the mayor for Thursday, close of business Thursday at noon, but right now I think Thursday close of business is what the target is, unless there's an emergency item that's being added on a Friday by either Lee coming in and working or the mayor having April do it. Is that accurate, sir?
Yes, and I just want to speak on April and Lee's behalf. I mean, it's not that anybody is delaying getting the information out. It just takes time to be able to get the information out. So that's what's going on. Nobody's sitting here and saying, oh, we're going to send it to them on Saturday so they don't have enough time to review it. Mm-hmm. Things are complex, and there's a lot of things that are going on in the city and a lot of moving parts that are going on in the city. And some things, those things are time sensitive when they come in as well. But my thing, I just want to we'll play by whatever rules that you all decide that you want to do. I'm just saying that you can't set something on your side and then impose that over on the other side where I'm responsible for dealing with those people and protecting them to make sure that they can deliver, because the first time they don't deliver, we'll hear from it up here about how they didn't get it on time.
And so I totally understand where you're coming from, Mayor, and I understand where Councilwoman McQuaylar's at as well. Once again, we're a team, and every team has a game plan. So I think a game plan is good. There's nothing wrong with us having a game plan. Right now, I think we've got a game plan. I'll say this, I'm probably the one that's derelict because I don't know what the game plan is. I like that we're developing a game plan, but I also know that you're not going to be able to go by a game plan. If you make a game plan 50%, you're going to do good. So as we're crafting this, I totally understand what you're saying. Mayor, you're 100% right. If we come up with something Thursday evening that needs to be on that agenda, but we can't do it because we said Wednesday, we're going to have to be very careful on shells and
we're going to hold,
and the other, because when you do a shell in anything, if I develop a HR policy for my company that says the human resources manager shall do this, then that's an attorney's field day.
Well, the thing is, you can't make it convenient for you. I mean, you can't impose it on everybody else, and then for me to turn around and then say, Lee, go ahead and put this on the agenda. I would be wrong, just like anybody else if that deadline is there.
Yes,
So that's why I'm saying that I respect her as being the city clerk. I honor her as being the city clerk, and I'm not going to put any more on her than I have to, to be able to do that. But like I said, it's not a problem. I'm just showing you every time you make a decision, you have to think about it in government. There's consequences on both sides, not just on your side. So what you do have a ripple effect on how it affects on their side as well. And I'm just being honest with you all to say, hey, nothing wrong with us giving you that deadline. It's just that if that's the deadline, everybody will get everything by then, and then you won't get anything else to the next council meeting.
okay. That covers my question. Thank you, President Swabman. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Yes, I thank you, Councilman Box, and thank you, Mayor Stewart, for your comments. And I am willing to, let's look at, instead of Wednesday, then we say on Thursday instead of Wednesday. I think strikes a good balance.
Write it up, bring it up for debate. Councilman Sims, you've been quiet on this topic.
I mean, I'd like, I like, just like the mayor said, I mean, perfect world. I mean, yeah, okay, we've got the agenda tomorrow for 2 weeks. I've got plenty of time to look over it. We all know that's not going to happen. I mean, yes, we've had a couple meetings that had a ton of stuff because of stuff that had to get done. But I think those were kind of one-offs, we had some financial stuff to approve. I believe for the most part, I think there's been a lot of Thursdays and early Fridays. I think I've seen some agendas. Some are later on Friday. But again, just like the mayor said, I think as soon as they have it ready, we're getting it. There's no like, all right, let's go wait and send that after supper. We're getting it as soon as it's ready. And I think everyone's striving to get it as quick as possible. I mean, yes, we can have a Wednesday goal.
Thursday.
Or Thursday. I mean, we can set a goal. I think if we miss it every once in a while, I think that's fine. I mean,
Right, and that's why I put
But,
that clause, if they don't arrive in time for the city council to review them, the item or items will be postponed for the next council meeting,
I mean, I think
which I think is striking that balance of we're giving ourselves, the council, that opportunity that, hey, let's just put this for the next council meeting so that we don't feel rushed without having everything, all the I's and T's dotted and crossed. Because I know I'm uncomfortable in voting for something where I haven't had a chance to review it all, or I haven't had a chance to get answers to my questions. I'm not comfortable with passing something and then reading it later. No, I need to read it first, get answers to my questions, then I can make an informed decision. And there have been times where that hasn't happened, and it's a means of helping us to make these decisions and having the ample time that we need to review everything.
So
And
I
if we
want to.
don't have that time, then we can postpone it.
So I want to point something out. When did we change the council meetings from Wednesday to Tuesday, approximately
February,
in February?
yes.
Okay. So we made a decision. We shortened our own timeline. Okay. Decisions have implications. All right. I am on both sides of the camp on this, but we have to also understand that we've inflicted this pain on ourselves to a certain degree, and we have to take our ownership of that and not point that particularly at the administration and causing them to have to update and play ball with us because of a decision that we made. So we have to take ownership of that and understand that. And then the second thing, we have if it's a non-urgent item and we don't fully understand it, employ the ability to continue.
Right.
You know, so I mean, those are things that can be done. So yes, sir, Mayor.
There's another word in Robert's Rule of Order called abstain.
That as well.
If you don't have enough information, nobody's forcing anybody to vote. I mean, that's why you have extension. Abstentions are for two reasons. Either you don't have enough information or there's a conflict of interest. And you can use that at any time if you don't feel comfortable with having enough information to be able to make an informed decision.
So I would say write it up
Right.
and we'll deliberate.
Right, and I would like to note that when we had our council meetings on Wednesdays, because we were sworn in on November the 2nd of 2020, and we had our council meetings, we voted on that day to make our council meetings on Wednesdays. And when we had our council meetings on Wednesdays, there were times that we did not get the information until Saturday or even Sunday evening, which still put a lot of pressure on the council. And what this is doing is, because it's a continual issue, it's just simply putting some guidelines to help us in being prepared for the council meetings. I know I like to vote on as many items as I can because I was elected to do that. But one of the things that I gave my word to my constituents on is that I would make informed decisions. And this is a means to enable us to do that. So making it Thursday is reasonable. And again, it has that language that an item can be postponed if the council does not have enough time to review it. So it's striking that balance. It is reasonable. It isn't unreasonable, but our legal attorney has that information, so I'll end on that note.
Fair enough. Questions, comments, emotional outburst?
If just freshman question again,
Okay.
Marshall, sorry. We're talking about if we postpone an item, that you can only make a motion to postpone it, correct? We can't postpone it unless the body decides to remove it from the agenda. Is that correct?
Well, that's the thing. I said this at the last council meeting. Each one of you all have equal authority. There's no person that has more authority than any other person. Number two, you only have that authority when you're sitting up here. So that's the first and the third Tuesday to be able to do that. So if the body decides that they want to put something on the agenda, the body doesn't have to get unanimous consent to be able to do that. I think the rule says majority.
Yes,
So long as the majority rule, Councilman Box, you all can, it's you all's meeting. So you can basically add, subtract, do whatever you want to do. But as long as the majority is in agreement with it, unless you all write something in a document to say now it requires 3/4 of the body to be able to add something to the agenda. Majority rules.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm good now. Thank
Are we good to adjourn?
Yes.
May I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
you.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night. Thank you for your time.